So are you one of those golfers that feels like they just get over the golf ball and put so much effort, and there's a huge amount of club head speed, but accuracy and distance is absolutely dreadful? But what if I told you that we could work on something incredibly simple that actually would allow you to swing maybe even a little bit slower, but hit the ball further than ever and be more accurate at the same time? Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds very impressive, doesn't it? So most golfers I speak to, they'll say distance isn't the be-all and end-all, but they definitely like it if they could pick up maybe 10, 15, 20, maybe even 30 yards with their irons, because it's much easier hitting 9-iron in rather than it is 6-iron. And then all through the bag, if you've got more loft in your hand, you should have more control. And yet, the reason I see a lot of golfers from a pretty good setup position nowadays, don't see too many golfers making massive mistakes here. But once they get the club to the top, they're in such a rush to get that club head down onto the golf ball that even though they might get some decent speed, they generally have poor contact, launch the ball up in the air, and even if they get that one back at target, you can see the carry down at 129 yards. So the big challenge is, when we're getting to the top here, we don't really want this being in a rush to get down. I want you to think about almost there being a race between kind of how the lower body, upper body, arms and club head race down to the golf ball. And what we see with most higher handicap golfers is that the club head is the thing that's winning the race. And they end up with the body back behind the golf ball, adding loft, and actually getting the low point of the golf swing back behind the golf ball. So they either fat it, thin it, top it, or occasionally they get that very scoopy one that just pops up in the air. So when I use TrackMan with golfers, I like looking at numbers only because it proves if we're doing something different and what the result then can be. So what I always say is, for the golfer who delivers the club like that, I want you to think about the difference between a high handicap golfer and an elite ball striker. So from a very similar address position, what you'll see with the elite golfer is they'll actually move the mass of their body 4 to 5 inches nearer to the target, which moves the low point ahead of the golf ball, presents less loft to the golf ball, and they get that ball and then ground strike. Whereas the higher handicapper, the body's back behind, adding loft with the low point behind. And one really, really quick way of getting more ball speed is with less loft. So if you keep the strike the same with the same club head speed, less loft will give more ball speed, more loft will get less ball speed. And all the elite golfers in the world de-loft the club through impact. So I know what you're thinking, that sounds incredibly easy, but you might have been told that already, but not really be able to get a feel of what to do. So we're going to use a very simple drill, a little step drill. So we're going to start with maybe a slightly narrower stance than normal, and maybe have the ball just slightly forward of where it would normally be. This is a practice swing. And you're going to make your swing, and just before you start your downswing, I want you to feel that you just move your lead foot maybe 3 to 4 inches nearer, and then swing down. So you can just straight away there, I touched ahead. So do that. I'm lining up in line with the ball just so I can get some feedback, see where I touch the ground. Again, definitely ahead. Definitely ahead. And even though I don't feel I'm doing that massively aggressively, feels like a very powerful impact. So then once we do that for some practice swings and get that feel, then we introduce the ball. And initially I don't actually care what the ball's going to do, just kind of make that little step. And we see there, even at under 79 mile an hour club speed, nearly 110 ball speed, low point 3 inches ahead, launching at 14 degrees, carrying at 152 and rolling out at 168. Now, there might be comments straight away with that is that not a little bit on the low side? Potentially. But for anyone who's back here presenting 23, plus degrees at impact, they're probably not going to go that far to begin with, but they're definitely going to start de-lofting and getting a better strike. So my first thing would be do 2 or 3 of those, actually feeling very gentle with the swing, and just seeing, can you get that movement? And again, even slower with the club speed, a little bit more ball speed, low point further ahead, and again, 151 carry and 168 total. And it is a strange one, because even for me, that just feels incredibly slow. I mean, obviously it isn't with the club head speed, but it feels incredibly slow there, and definitely feels that the more of those I do, I could then just put that little bit more in and get that feel. So get that set up correct. And now just put a little bit more speed back in. That wasn't a great strike. Very heely. So a little bit more club head speed, ball speed dropped off, but still with a miss hit there, 135 carry. Now, the big thing for me when I start putting speed in here is I don't feel that I'm doing the speed with this bit. I actually feel maybe that I just step across a little bit quicker. So then we see 83 mile an hour club speed, nearly 120 ball speed. Again, low point 4 inches ahead. Launching at 13, carrying at 171, total at 185. And I'm not necessarily expecting, if you're working through this video with me, for you to see these distances, because your club head speed may have started lower, but I definitely think even with less club head speed than you were initially trying to generate this way, if you can get this feeling of the lower body wins the race, then the upper body's there, then the arms are there, then the club's last to win the well, it's not winning the race, it's losing the race, isn't it? But if you're into that position at impact, that's a much more powerful impact than that. And you might hit some good shots in there, but I don't think you see the best players in the world in that position very often. And as a result, that's why they're more consistent. So again, I would go one more with the little step. Even that one there, maybe a little bit toey, but nice quick club head speed. Ball speed not quite where I would have liked, but low point ahead, a little bit more launch angle, 165 carry and 173 total. So you might even find that you hit it that good doing that drill that you want to feel a little bit that when you hit the shot. So if you didn't want to then move the feet, I would just go a little bit wider with my 7-9, keep the ball in the middle. And as I get to the top, I would just feel I really press down as hard as I can into that lead foot. So I'm not moving the foot, but I am moving the pressure and the mass of my body towards the target. And even without feeling like I'm putting a lot into that, 86 mile an hour club head speed, 119 ball speed, low point nearly 3 inches ahead, launching at 16, 170 carry and 178 total. So if you are one of those golfers who stands there and really feels like you're putting lots of effort in and actually are moving that very quickly, but getting no efficiency of energy from club to golf ball, this little step drill will be absolutely perfect for you and will really start getting some efficiency up, some distance up, but also accuracy that'll definitely get you hitting the best iron shots you've ever hit before.